Sorry. Good evening, everybody. A few technical issues there as we get started. Mike's daughter's kicking off at the moment as he's trying to put her to bed. So I've just had to step into the pilot seat for a little bit. And we'll just bring Paul in.
Ta-da!
Always sneaking in at last second. So
yeah, I just literally lost track of time. I was literally doing our thing we've been discussing, or what we were going to be doing in the UK Thanksgiving chat. So I've been working on that. Yep, so I've been working on that. Yep.
More details to come at a later date. So keep your eyes peeled. As I say, Mike will be along shortly once he's got his daughter off to bed, if that ever happens. So at the moment, I'm joined obviously by my fellow Scot, Paul Stewart, and after a wee bit of a hiatus, we've got Jamie back on the pod.
Way!
I think when it day 3 of the draft last time I came on.
I think it's been that far away. So a lot has happened since then. We've had OTAs and a few more signings and brought a new kicker into camp and all that sort of stuff. And now we're already halfway through training camp.
That's crazy how time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think they've only got another week of camp in Oxnard, and then they're back to Dallas after that. So
it's just flown on so quickly. It really has.
Yeah. And what's been your takeaways from training camp so far?
For me, I've been very impressed with our defense in terms of our secondary. Like, it seems to be where the backups are really stepping up to the plate. Like, you're seeing like your McCree spells, you're seeing like the rookies like Eric Scott Jr. really making a name for themselves. But at the same time, we're seeing a lot more faster paced offense. It's really accumulating to the West Coast, Texas Coast offense, whatever you want to call it. It seems very promising from what we've been doing right now. And the good thing about it, and knock on wood, there hasn't been too many injuries. There's not been any injuries to the O-line or anything like that. So it's always a good plus. So overall, I'm quite satisfied because, like Dak has mentioned in his interviews, it feels like the team has been building from last year. And even though despite it's a new offensive scheme and stuff like that, but it's just adding those new layers. Like, you're seeing what Brandon Cooks has done already in camp. He's looking really good. Like, his speed just opens up the dynamic a little bit. And as DJ Dog just mentioned, tonight is the Hall of Fame game tonight. So we actually get to see some football tonight. But just overall, I've been very happy. Obviously, like, some of the rookies, like Mazzy Smith, we know he's going to be good, but you see the difference between him and our other nose tackle, forgot his name, Jonathan Hankins, is getting off the block, like, not using the hands correctly. Because if that's one thing Mazzy Smith was used in Michigan, he was there to be the gaps, to fill the gap and be the run stopper.
Yeah,
but he's not been utilized to really use the full extent of his hands. But he's got the strength, but it's just how to get the technique. Once he gets that technique done, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And like the same with DeMarvion Overshawn, shown loads of potential, but he's still raw. Like, and one thing I love about this camp, especially for the linebackers, they have taken a lot of doing tackling drills. They've took extensive time on that. Them and the safeties. If that's one thing you could criticize our defense for, was not wrapping up correctly and bringing the player into the ground, and just bouncing off players. So we've been utilizing and drilling that consistently throughout camp. So I've been very impressed with that.
Yeah. And Jamie, anything?
Pre-season for me is always a bit, but that's probably the thing. It's because they say repetitions kind of at a low in it. So for me, it's getting out of it without any injuries, and like Paul said, we're lucky at the minute. Touch wood that we continue that way. And I think the biggest takeaway ever, I think we're going to get sick of saying this until it happens. Zach Martin is not in camp, and I get why he's not there. I get why the Cowboys are kind of digging real. He's the best guard in the league. You get him signed up and get him into camp. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly came down on his side a couple of weeks ago. The more I think about it, though, I mean, you know, he took a gamble a few years back that you know, he signed this long-term contract, and you know, you take that long-term contract because it means that you're getting money in at that point in time, but ultimately you are going to suddenly drop down. I mean, if you look at Pat Mahomes now, he's, you know, when he signed his 10-year $500 million contract, you know, he was obviously the top of the league in terms of the pay structure. He's now, you know, fourth or fifth quarterback at the moment and dropping at the moment in terms of average per year. And, you know, at some point, but you're not seeing him turn around and saying that. Now, you know, you're banking on yourself in some respects that with these long-term contracts, if you're taking 4 or 5 years, you're allowing for the fact that you're likely to be injured within those 4 or 5 years. And, you know, touch with Zach Martin's never been injured for longer than a couple of series or a couple of games or anything like that. But, you know, you can see you're banking on yourself back then and taking that, you know, do you take a 3-year deal and try and do what Dak's done and, you know, try and play it to your advantage, take advantage of this increased cap 3 years down the line, but then you get injured and then you're out of the league, you know. So, you know, I'm actually coming down more on the Joneses side. As far as I'm concerned, he's under contract, and you know, he signed that contract, and you've kind of got to go with that. And it's, yes, if the Cowboys want to go for it, but at the same time, if you start redoing every contract just because people want more money, then you know you're not going to be able to pay people like Micah Parsons in a couple of years' time and what have you. So,
you know, funny you should mention it. That was one of the things that cropped up as well. The video the Cowboys posted the other day, where Parsons made Tyron Smith pretty much look like Connor Williams. Like he absolutely put his backside, and I was like, this kid was special coming out of college, and his levels has come. I can't wait to see him play live in person.
I know.
I think the thing that impresses me most about Micah Parsons is like he took that year out. Like he took that year out, and people were already doubting him, and he's re-solidified himself, not only being one of the best players for Dallas right now, but one of the best players in the NFL right now. And it's, if anything, Micah will have that chip on the shoulder till the end of his playing career for people criticizing him, saying, but if you were to now revert going back into that draft, knowing what Parsons is going to be like now, he would have been easily been the number 1 overall pick, without a shadow of a doubt. Oh,
definitely. I mean, you look at, I think there was a redraft, you know, one of these redrafts that NFL.com do last year, and I think he was already up to something like 3rd pick, but I mean, even now, I'd actually state you probably taken 1st pick. And you know, this year, this off season, he's gone to unusual sources to actually try and develop his technique. He's been working with Andrew Whitworth, the all-pro guard that the LA Rams had, you know, and been working on things like that. And you know, you saw it where he wrong-footed Tyron Smith, and Tyron Smith, you know, he was then able to flip him and all that sort of stuff. What's slightly concerning is he's come close to hitting Dak a couple of times and taking Dak down. So I think Mike McCarthy in his press conference today said that he's repeatedly going on at Micah Parsons that, you know, when Dak's wearing the red shirt, you don't go near him.
sorry, jumping like that, like just were you mentioning Whitworth, and I'm like a probably out in my mind, but it's interesting to see how Parsons thinks. He's not just thinking as a linebacker or a defensive end. He's also wanting to get in the mind of defensive linemen to think, like, what are they going to do if I stand up this way or whichever kind of thing. It's an interesting way that he thinks, and he's also going to not saying that he's rubbish, but it's showing out a player that's so good that you can probably consider him the best defensive player in the NFL. Bar a few. He's trying to better himself even more at this young age. Like, you sometimes don't see that kind of mentality to get a bit on him. And him doing it now is just immense.
I think he's maybe taken a leaf. Charles Haley, if you go back and look at the football life of Charles Haley and everything like that, Charles Haley used to talk about, he used to pester Bill Walsh and all that because he'd go and sit in on the offensive meetings while the defensive meetings were going on because he wanted to get an understanding of how the offense worked and how other players worked and everything like that. So, I think that's maybe where he's taken it from. Obviously, he's had discussions with Charles Haley during training camps and off seasons. And, that's... You could say that he could, after his first 2 years, he'd be satisfied with what he's done and just stay at that level. But no, he's constantly trying to evolve and become an even better player. And, obviously, ultimately, we're going to end up having to pay the price for that in a couple of years' time. When we've got to do an extension to him. But
has he put? I say the Masters because I know he's going to be a little bit on the bulkier side compared to being linebacker, but has he put any timber on? Because he looked lean still, like, even though he's playing more with his hands in the day, he looks really lean.
Yeah, I think he's supposedly up at about 250, which is about an extra 10 pounds on what he was when he came out. But again, it's not puppy fat or anything like that. It's turning into grown man muscle, as they say. And unfortunately as well, I mean, by the time he gets to, if he's not eating properly or whatever, that's going to wear away with the rigors of training camp, and he'll probably be back down to about 245 or something, unless he can keep the weight on.
Because he definitely doesn't look like he's put on 10 pounds, and it still looks like the same build as he was. Shows how athletic he is when he's looking.
But one of the takeaways I've had is that, it's not just been the defense standing out each day. It's, some days the defense wins, some days the offense wins. And that's, and again, where we're talking about Zach Martin, what I think is good is that you're seeing the ability to run the ball against our defense. Particularly you're getting runs from Deuce Vaughn, and Deuce Vaughn's shown that he's quite a shifty guy. Especially he's so small that it's almost like the Ray Jennings story in Draft Day, where you go for him and he teleports 6 feet in the other direction. These guys can't get their hands on him. But I think with Zach Martin not being there as well, you are getting to develop the guys that are behind them as well. So it's of benefit to us in that we're getting to see what these guys have. We're trying Josh Ball out at guard, getting some good ideas about him. Asim Richards seems to be having a good camp as well in some respects, although he's prone to jumping off sides at the moment just because he's getting a bit twitchy going up against these all pros and what have you. But this offense is still moving, and I think we've certainly got reason to be excited about it. Brandon Cooks seems to have a good rapport with Dak. All of the Jalens that we've got on the team, they're all making superb catches. Moreno Cropper and Brooks as well. So, I don't know what your take on the offense is, guys.
I think with this wide receiver core right now, I find this has probably been the most competitive wide receiver core we've seen in a while. Like we're seeing, like you mentioned, the Jalen's there. The three Jalen's have been looking pretty good. Tolbert, Moreno Cropper, and Brooks. So, I mean, the discussion of the fourth number 4 wide receiver is really up for grabs. And me and Mike we were speaking to Brian Broaddus last night, and he has completely flip-sided in his views on Jalen Tolbert. He thinks he's going to really burst out this year.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can see, again, people were sort of saying, what were you expecting from him for this year? And a lot of people are saying 20 catches. I think if he gets involved in this offense, and okay, you don't want to see us in 4 wides all the time, but, there will be times where he needs to come in and spell Gallup or whatever, and he's just hitting the ground running this year. He's Schottenheimer's said that the notes he's taken in practice and in the team meetings are an example for everybody. So Tolbert's certainly having a good camp. You're seeing rapport with all these guys that even Dennis Houston's still showing up as well and making catches. So I think who was it? It was Talking Cowboys the other day. Were saying that if you're going to take 6 wide receivers, you're basically got 8 guys going for the 6th wide receiver spot at the moment. Which come cut down day, we're going to be getting rid of 8 wide receivers. So
and it wouldn't surprise me any of those guys will like. And I think with this preseason game is going to be the most important games for them, because either way, well, like any player, if you're on the verge of being cut, you really want to stamp your name out there to be recognised, so other teams will look into you in that. I have no doubt in my mind the 3 Jalen's are going to look good in these preseason games, and other teams are going to be keeping a close eye when it comes to reducing the numbers for the Cowboys, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of them anyway. It's literally, as much as you don't want to say it, it's next man up in it. And like you say, it takes one play. And I know I said especially Bangor about it, but look at those years ago when Tony went down and Dak literally rubbed it in and took his opportunity, and that's what it is. You need someone with a mentality like that. In training camp, pre-season game, if I don't take it, I could be off this roster and I might not get back into one of our NFL stage.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think as well, obviously, you were talking about it with Barry and Brian and Isaiah last night, that, this Ronald Jones suspension as well. I mean, you can say what you want about it being questionable in that, obviously it's a heart medication that he's been taking since his days with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, why is that never been flagged up for this career? Yeah. It just seems a bit suspicious, if I'm being perfectly honest. Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but it just seems to be whenever a player who's had a history with something, then when they come to the Cowboys, that's when they get suspended. I'm just saying it. Just saying it.
Yeah, and I mean, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Alvin Kamara's met with Roger Goodall this week as well. Be interesting to see if there's any suspension comes down on that, because obviously he's plea bargained out of some of his court issues as well. And obviously Zeke got the 6 week suspension. For nothing that actually ended up going through the courts. So. Will Goodall be as liberal with the suspensions that he had, suspension powers that he has, or will it be swept under the carpet? I don't know, but I think as well. I mean, obviously Jones automatically goes onto the suspension list for the first 2 weeks. You can see what you've got with Rico Deldo or whoever you've got making the roster.
I'm glad that you mentioned Rico Deldo, because Broadus was raving about Rico Dowdle. Like, I know he's not had much game time, so to speak, but Jerry, Stephen, the whole staff love Rico Dowdle. They really do like him. They like what he can produce. The problem is with Dowdle is, can he stay healthy?
Yep.
And just to kind of bring up DJ Dog's comment, he asked him, do we keep 4 running backs? I still think we're going to keep 3 running backs, and Hunter Lipke is going to be the other piece. He's going to be that flex player. Like, he can play, like, he can move out to wide receiver in the slot or whatever and play fullback and play running back. He's going to be that, because if that's one thing that was mentioned, Isaiah Standback mentioned, is like, he did not catch a break during OTAs. He was getting utilized throughout the whole OTAs. Like, they wanted to see where and when they can put him there. So they've obviously got big plans for Lipke.
Yeah. And I think as well, that's probably going to come at expense of somebody like Will Greer. I think we probably, okay, you've got the new rule about the 3 quarterbacks, but I think ultimately, Will Greer's probably taking on a roster spot that we don't necessarily need, touch wood. Obviously you can rejig your roster middle of the season or whatever if you need to, but I think you can go 2 QBs for most of the season, and that allows you to bring on an extra running back as well, because as we say, I mean, Dan Quinn's going to be campaigning for as many defensive line guys as he can get. So how you make up this 53 is going to be certainly very interesting come the end of training camp.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, we've got Mike back in the building.
Yeah, he's back.
I had to bring out the big guns. My little girl would not settle. So in the end, you go to, when all else fails, go to the final plan, which is put them in the car and go for a drive around the block.
We would be there, Mike, if it were actually you kicking off.
She was kicking right off.
We certainly heard just before we went live. I put you on the screen and I could hear obviously you going on in the background. I was like, okay,
yeah,
might be late starting.
Yeah. So sorry I'm late, but what are we guys up to? What are we talking about? Bring me in.
Chilling.
Basically just impressions of what's happened in camp so far this last couple of weeks. Talked about Micah Parsons and his elevation, the competitiveness of the wide receiver room, the running backs, and obviously, as I was saying, the guys last night were a bit doom and gloom on the round table, talking about the state of the offensive line without Zach Martin. I've sort of said that, the good thing that you've seen is that the offense have actually been performing in training camp as well. It's not been a day where the defense haven't had it all their own way. So this offense is actually, you're getting a chance to see guys like Josh Ball in new positions. Asim Richards is having a good camp generally. A few issues with him jumping off sides and getting twitchy, but
yeah.
But this is allowing you to at least develop your roster at the bottom end, and again could have dividends down the season as well. So
it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one.
I actually thought that was Jamie talking, and then I realised it was the recording.
I we were parallel universe, and I'm thinking, why is my voice on screen?
But I will say though, today's training camp defense won the day. I would say they were all over it today.
Yes, yeah,
they were really good today. You had Hankins, you had pretty much all the cornerbacks were not winning every single one, but they were making some good plays, Bland especially. So that was good to see. Cavante Turpin is just continually winning his routes. I think he's pretty much solidified his spot now. I think that's him in.
Yeah.
the way it's going. And I think they would have done it last year because like a lot of people were like, oh, this offense is missing speed. Why aren't we using Turpin? And I think because they brought him in quite late from, and going from USFL straight to the NFL, they didn't have time to like do any sort of route work with him, to look at route combinations, to do like an install with him. So because he couldn't do install, I think what it really was is, right, this year, let's put him on special teams, see what we've got. Then we can work with him next year. He's had a bit of a breather as well, had some time to relax and catch his breath. And I think that's what we're seeing now is the mixture of, they know how to utilize him. They know what they've got with him. They know who he is. And now they're looking to try and do a lot of install work to see what that looks like and how that helps Dak.
Yeah. If nothing else, he's been a very good decoy. You've seen him, dragging players across the field, getting them out of position, and that's allowing guys like Cooks to sneak through the double team or whatever and get open in the backfield, deep down the sidelines or whatever. So,
yeah. All right. Well, let's get into this, guys. Let's talk kicking competition continued again. So at the moment, every training practice is starting with the special teams, and it starts with the kicking competition. Seen a bit of that today. Both kickers missed 2 kicks, pretty much the same ranges as well. What are we guys thinking? Are we thinking it's going to be one of these 2 that we go with, or is it going to be like how it was last year where they bring in a last-minute guy like a week before week 1 kickoff?
I'd love us just to finally address it properly rather than year to year. Go out and draft one that you want in a long time. Like I know it's hard to hit on someone like a Justin Tucker. But come on, like this is ridiculous. You're getting 3. Like look, last year we had 4 guys in camp. This year they're going to go with the 2. If they keep missing, they're going to end up being something else. We should just address it. Ideally, like it's not ideal, but if there's a decent one, you have to take him in the 4th round. Take him. Take a long-term guy that you can see being in there, not year on year.
What do you think, Paul?
It wouldn't surprise me if we do bring someone in. I mean, I do agree with Jamie. Like, I think the need of kind of looking more into kickers is definitely needs to be looked more into in terms of our scouting in that respect. In terms of players, like getting I'm going to sound as though I'm already going to bash Aubrey already, but he's unproven. We don't know how
in the big game pressure.
Exactly, and that's the biggest problem we had last year. Like when you talk about Brett Maher last year, regular season, consistent. He was making the plays. He redeemed himself. But when it came to the big moments, it was a completely different player. He just could not deal with the pressure. Like the nerves got to him. So bringing in a veteran that has had playoff experience is something that I would kind of look for. But it's hard because a lot of these kickers are not really truly available. There is players that are available, but they don't have the leg anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah. I think obviously I'm not ready to bring somebody in because obviously it's one thing to do it out in the open in Oxnard, and you've got the wind coming off the coast and everything like that, and seemingly the setup as well where the trees are and everything like that gives a funny little swing on it as well. Yeah. But you certainly want to see how they do in pre-season, obviously, and then you've got proven guys like Robbie Gould out there still on the market, so you can always bring them in if nothing else. But I think Vizcaíno, from what I'm hearing as well, he's not. There's no thump with the ball. The further and further the way he gets, it's just like kicking it enough, and it just dies just as it goes over the post as well. Where somebody like Brett Maher was, you still had another 10 meters behind the goalpost no matter where he was kicking it from, he was still kicking it well through the posts. So, but certainly, I mean, I was worried when you listen to, I think it was Cowboys Break on the Friday of the first week, and they're sitting off to the side, and half of the kicks were, Brian Broaddus is having to duck, because the kick shouldn't have even been coming over in their direction, and it was like, it was just literally coming over his head, sort of thing. So, but they seem to, obviously, as soon as the kicks actually started counting on Monday, there, I think they've both missed 2 kicks each day or whatever, but they've been ready when it comes to the sort of mojo moments in practice or whatever. They seem to be on target there. So, again, you need to see how they are in these when the lights come on and they're in pre-season.
Exactly. Yeah. We're out on a real field. With a real crowd, that's for sure. Let's talk about, though, another interesting development in a position battle that kind of like you look at it from afar and you could have been like, okay, but now it's coming more to fruition as the pads have been on. So you and we'll get to the offensive line in a minute. We will talk about them, but let's talk about the battle for RB2. Now me and Paul got told yesterday is Rico Dowdle at the moment. Rico Dowdle is the guy to take the RB2 spot. That's what they're pushing for. And when you think about it, the coaches and the front office have had chance to move on from Rico many times. When he's been injured, and they've thought, no, we'll keep this going, and they did. So you've seen it today. I kept a good eye on it. He's not looking bad. I can see why they're saying it. It's going to be quite interesting. But what do you guys think? Because on top of obviously what Dowdle's doing, we're seeing plenty as well from Deuce Vaughn. There's a lot going on with that. What are you guys thinking? Who's the RB2?
It doesn't surprise me that Dowdle's there at the minute. I think more so, like you say, because Vaughn's so raw, isn't he? Obviously, he's just only been drafted.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put too much pressure on him. But I think, if anything, it's the whole running back call for me worries me a little bit this year. I don't mean that we're going to display. I just think it's just because we don't really know what we've got with it all. Like you say, we've got Dowdle. He's been here a few years now, and it's like, do we really know? Born, obviously, even in college. It's like now he's got the opportunity. Is he going to step up? I know he's probably not going to give a Zeke stand. Is this running game going to be as effective when Zeke's not in there? So, let's see where we're going. And say that could we see Zeke back?
Well, I mean, we can repeat what we got told that Jerry wants him back. The boss man wants him back, but everybody else is more like, no, let's just wait and see. And that's the sort of attitude. The love for him hasn't gone.
Because you can't really see as much as like maybe a Darwin coming. Like, how was the pain? 11 minutes year. You're not going to put someone in. It's like I say, it's now you must see what you've got. Is anybody who's an RB2 better than Dowdle or got better? Dowdle could probably give him.
Oh, we lost you towards the end there, Jay. But go on, Lon. What are your thoughts here?
I think Deuce Vaughn has an option for. I think you're probably talking about him being RB3, being that sort of screen guy that, obviously there's been a lot of screens where he's been involved in training camp so far. But I think RB2 at the moment, I certainly think it's probably Dowdle has the the fact that they've brought him back year after year after year with all these injuries, they've obviously got some love for him within that front office. And, because certainly if you've basically had your seasons cut short by injury 3 times, I mean, that's normally, here's an insurance job or something like that, go off and do that. But, they keep bringing him back. So there obviously is something there that they want to tap into, and, they just have to hope that he stays healthy. But I certainly, again, I liked what we saw from Malik Davis last year as well. So you always have one of these guys that seem to stand out in camp and make a name for themselves as well when they get all these extra carries, and you wonder why they don't make the squad, or and this is probably why you're seeing with a lot of running backs at the moment that they're on the outside looking in at the moment. Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, all that is because teams are constantly, since the sort of days of Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan, where they're able to bring in guys that were drafted 6th round and later, undrafted free agents, that sort of thing, and get production out of them. You're seeing that across the league now, and this is why you're probably devaluing a lot of the running backs as well, and they're almost having to set up their own union to try and protect their jobs. So
yeah. But here's one for you, Paul. 3 running backs. I mean, we've got one about the 4 running back question from DJ Dog 2, right? But we'll get back to the suspension of Ronald Jones. But 3 running backs, Paul. Who are your 3?
Oh,
I'll put them in order. So Tony first.
kind of going based on what Isaiah and Broadus have been saying, because they've got more eyes on knowledge than us, yeah. So based on that, I'm gonna say Pollard, Dowdo, and Vaughn.
So, well, you're losing Malik then?
I believe so.
Okay. Interesting. All right, because that I think works, because definitely Vaughn's looking more, especially today where you've seen some off tackle runs from Vaughan. So it's quite interesting that you see that. But let's talk about the Ronald Jones situation. I know me and you, Lorna, are in the same camp on this one, where the suspension of Ronald Jones, I mean, not so much that it makes the decision easier for the other running backs, it actually makes Ronald Jones more appealing to keep around, because now you've got a 2-game suspension. He doesn't count to your final 53 because he's on the suspended list. So now you can get Jones to hang around for 2 games, and you can see what you've got. Because Jones is like, that very typical slasher type running back. Lots of acceleration, agility, stand-up runner. So he does offer a little bit different. And obviously there's the veteran sort of background of what he's got with him. So he does offer something, but I don't know what you guys think, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, cut him." I actually think no. I mean, the guy, he's on your suspension. Keep him there. Like after 2 games, if you are happy and you decide to waive him, then do it. But right now, I'm keeping him around.
Yes, it's a good insurance policy, because obviously if you were to let him go in the final cuts, he becomes a free agent. He's a vested veteran, so he becomes a free agent straight away.
Yeah,
and he can go and sign with whoever he wants. Now you can obviously, Jerry can say to him, "Look, we want to have you around. We want to put you on the practice squad. What's it going to take?" Or he could, obviously with the way injuries are going around the league at the moment with running backs, that there'll be another team comes calling for him straight away, and who knows? He could go back to the Chiefs. He could go back to the Buccaneers, whatever. So there's being able to put him on our roster by putting him on the suspension list, keep him for 2 weeks, and then he's still under contract with us, and then you make the decision after the 2 weeks, see what you've got with the guys that you have, or do you cut one of them and obviously elevate Jones?
Yeah.
And I mean, you'll have an extra week. I think obviously he then comes back after 2 weeks, but you've got another week before you actually have
make
to
the decision. Yeah.
make the decision as well. So you've effectively got 3 weeks there before you have to make a decision on what you're doing with him as well. So
yeah, I mean, what do you guys on the lower floor think?
Jimmy?
I'll let you go first, Paul. Go on. Just because I've been jumping in first every time, I think I'll let you go.
Sorry, but I'm actually trying to do two things at once here, so I didn't really catch the actual question, so I do apologise. So because I'm working on something really cool for us, like for the trip and stuff
right.
like that. So.
Okay, yeah. All will be revealed on that, by the way. I mean, okay, let's go another way. Let's talk about the offensive line for a sec, because I think the offensive line, right, Jay, we kind of felt not too bad. I mean, there was some kind of because there was so many questions. There have been some winners on the offensive line, but generally overall they've looked to struggle so far. Do you think, though, because obviously we've got to wait for the pads to come on, and the pads have come on this week, so really this week is the best time to tell. Now they're trying to get a level of consistency, trying to get a bit of cohesiveness with each other, figure out what's going on. Do you think that's in play, or do you think that the guys that we've got, so, we're talking like Ball, Willetsko, Edoga, they've all had their struggles. I mean, Tyron Smith even got beat by Mazzy Smith earlier in the week. Just got bullied around. Do you think that will change as things get a little smoother with as I say, with the cohesiveness of it all, or are we looking at a line that is struggling?
There is a slight concern. Sorry,
I think a little bit of both, really, just because this defensive line's been coming along nicely the last few years. There's been some good additions, and also they say that the line's starting to struggle. Like we've lost some good players on that line that haven't really replaced them, and it's time. I don't mean it's just feeling it's Tyron Smith just there because of what Tyron Smith was. And I know Rich Bangs on we're going to get 7 or 7 having getting the playoffs. I just don't know. And then when you see like the right before you came on, we got badly beaten by Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons has beaten everybody, though.
Oh yeah, but you know what I mean. But oops, guy that was like the best left back in the league is giving players like this, and he can't stay healthy, and best right guard.
Jimmy, you kept cutting out there, so yeah. So I couldn't really hear.
Yorkshire, isn't it?
No, it's like your microphone keeps dropping
out.
It keeps dropping in and out.
Yeah. No, God knows. But God knows. I'll have to invest. But yeah, so I think it's a mixture of both, Mike, to be fair. It's the lines, the defensive line played so well, but also don't think that this offensive line is good as what people think it is.
All right. Paul, go on. I know you offensive line is your wheelhouse, yeah? So, I mean, like, what have you seen? What are you seeing? Are you seeing? Have you seen improvement? Have you seen it getting better, or are you still just thinking? Oof?
I think it's very hard to say because of the type of offense that we're running. Because we're getting the good thing is that
Speedy
is getting
balls out.
The ball is getting out quickly. We're not having to have more than 3 seconds for the offensive line to really stop. Like they're just doing just enough for now to allow that to get the ball out. So it's really hard to say. Like, I think it really depends more so on the run game. But what from we've seen with the run game, it seems to be pretty promising.
Yeah.
Like Tyler Smith's been having pretty decent success with the run game blocks and stuff like that, sealing off the inside. Some of his head-to-head battles with Mazzy and stuff like that has been pretty decent. But yeah, I'm just it's when it comes to, we haven't really seen a lot of the deep route, which is not really designed in the West Coast, but I think it's really hard to kind of say, has our O-line improved? Yeah, we've brought bodies in and stuff like that, like to really, like, we've brought Richards in, we've got Odoga in and stuff like that, but I can't really say, is it better or is it worse? It's still a question mark to me.
Requires more evaluation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well, obviously, you're seeing them going up against their own teammates and everything like that. And obviously, I think from what I'm seeing as well, you're seeing a couple of plays and then they swap around the formula as well. So they're constantly swapping people in and out. And that's meaning you're not getting the chemistry. I think, again, wait until we get into the preseason games and see how we go up against other teams that, obviously don't know our intricacies at week in, week out, or practice in, practice out, that sort of thing, and see how we can perform in preseason. Now, that doesn't mean again, I like the approach that we've had. Everybody goes, oh, we should be winning all these preseason games. But, as long as these guys are tightening up the mistakes or whatever, I don't want to see us putting 50 points on the board in preseason. I'd rather see us putting, I'd rather see us putting the 50 points on from week one onwards. But getting there and, getting that chemistry down, getting an understanding of what we've got, whether Zach Martin's there or not. But, as Paul says, it's the offense is now going to be designed where we're not relying on Dak holding on the ball for eight seconds to allow CeeDee Lamb to streak down and get 40 yards downfield or whatever. We still will take long shots, but generally this will be a case of move the ball as easily as you can and use every inch horizontally as well as vertically. So you don't put the pressure on the offensive line because you're expecting the ball to come out swiftly, and these receivers will be catching the ball on the move as well. So you won't have the 5-yard hooks and what have you that everybody was ready to jump on with our last offensive coordinator.
All right then. So here we go then, guys. I'm going to ask you this question. Everybody at home as well, answer this one. Put it in the comments. Tell me what your answer is. Week 2 has been the first week of padded practices. What has been your highlight and your MVP of this week so far? Now, there's still a practice left to go on Saturday, but we can talk about that next week. But who's been your guy so far? And what's been the highlight? I mean, I could go first. Give you guys a chance to think.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. For me, so far, Jalen Brooks. The double move he done, catching the touchdown, which was on Tuesday, I think so far has been the play of camp. And I did tweet it. It was a lot of tweets mine, but but you it is in amongst it all. It's just a fantastic movie. He's made the cornerback overcommit all the way. He's cut back inside. He's between two defenders, jumps up, catches the ball. But what's impressive, I think, so far with Jalen Brooks is it's not just there's no body catches. It's all hand catches. There's no double catching. There's no like fumbling the ball around. It's hands out, ball to hand, tuck it in, go. And I've been liking that so far. Very impressed with what I've seen. Like, if the Cowboys carry 6 wide receivers, I think he's the guy at the moment. This is only at this stage, like what you want to see with a guy like Jalen Brooks is, and I will say the same with Jalen Tolbert too, is, You want to see, so he's laid the foundation down now, both Jalen's. Now you want to see it just happen with consistency. You want to continue. What's it look like on the days when they're a bit tired, when they're a bit of fatigue kicking in. They've just played a preseason game and now they're back into practice. How does it look now? What's that look like down the road? So if the consistency is there and it continues to happen, then I'm all in for it. But go on then, Lon. Give me your guy, your MVP guy and highlight.
I think for me, what I'm liking, I haven't really got an MVP. I mean, other than you could obviously say the fact that Micah is spoiling everything. But what I've liked in the last couple of days, Jabril Cox seems to be back. He's getting involved in this defense. Excuse me. It's allowing Dan Quinn to again tinker. You're seeing things like Leighton Van Der Esch line up as a pass rusher as well, so you're getting that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The other one that's been really surprising for me, I thought, obviously being a Texas fan, I thought he'd be able to contribute, but DeMarvion Overshawn is actually coming in and he's lining people up. He's telling them where to go and everything like that. And, he's obviously got a grasp of this defense and knows where to take it. So
I think what I've seen with Overshawn today, especially, I actually think if it continues, the CJ Goodwin, his job is looking in doubt, because Goodwin, special teams ace, speed, all the rest of it. But Overshawn provides you with something different, because Goodwin, you're not going to be playing as a defensive back. You're just not going to. Yeah, he's only there. At least with Overshawn, he can give you somewhere similar to what Goodwin does, but also give you depth at both safety and linebacker. So, and they say the more you do. So that's where I think he'll come in. And he was looking quite positive, very strong and physical on special teams duties today. So that's impressive. Yeah, I think Overshawn, he's going to come along nicely, as time goes on. What he needs is just practice time, not practice time, but play time. He just needs to get out there and get playing. Come on then, Paul, hit me with yours.
Eric Stott Jr.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he's had a good day today too.
Like, he's had quite a few stand-up performances. He's been really tightly close on whoever's been up against and stuff like that. He's not really showing much weakness. He's showing like ball hawk instincts. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of lateral movement. So I've been liking. I can see why Dallas traded up for him.
Yeah. I mean, that says a lot when they trade up a reason to like a guy. But come on then, Jamie.
Not so much an MVP. I'm like, well, I think it's hard to give out an MVP when it's camp, especially on the pads or anything like that. So I think the MVP kind of thing will start. I'll save until we get into some games preseason, and then we can see about that. But highlights of the week. I'm gonna go wide receiver here. I think liking how CD Lamb's looking. He's looking very sharp. So hopefully the sign of things to come. But
the connection is looking strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking absolutely fantastic. I say, he's looking very polished in his route running. It's looking. And we were banging on earlier on, saying that you look at this time you look for people to take an opportunity, even if it's one snap or two snaps, and it's saying, look, this is what I can do. And we've been banging on about it. Jalen making it hard already for the case of, if you're going to cut me, it's got to be because someone's playing better or showing more than I am, because there's not a lot of people showing more than him at the minute. He's looking great. Like, you could probably say he's looking better than CeeDee Lamb at the minute.
It's going to be a big one.
Yeah, I really had to throw that in there, didn't you, mate?
It's just Jamie's face. Look, he just looks so confused. He's lost. He's like, how did I do that?
I'm completely lost. Are you guys putting some stuff in the chat?
No.
No, we've got a sample of your voice saying it's a biggin.
Where is that from tonight? Or has it just come?
Yeah, I've had it for a while. Hold on, if you stay quiet, then you're okay. Ready?
It's going to be a big one.
Where did that come from?
I can't believe this is your first noticing this.
Yeah.
No, I did it, but I'm just trying to think when I said it because it's been that long since I've been on. And it's like, when did I say it?
I've had loads of weird clips.
I didn't ring you when I was drunk, did you? That's when you got it.
No, that was Saturday where you phoned Barry drunk, mate, not me.
Oh, mate, it wasn't just Barry I rung drunk.
Jamie's on fire.
I rung lives.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish it off, and everyone at home, tell us this question, or answer to this question. What's your biggest concern after 2 weeks of camp, then, guys? I'll start off again with you, Lorne, and we'll work around.
Again, the fact that you're not seeing Schoonmaker on the field at the moment.
Yeah,
he's getting closer to coming back. Obviously, he's working, doing the conditioning drills at the moment. But other than that, you're talking Noah Fant and all that sort of stuff as well. So where it was a strength, and obviously we're looking in the comments here. A lot of people are saying that they're not hearing about tight ends in training camp at the moment. They've been okay. They're doing okay. They're doing what you expect them to do. They're not. I mean, by no means are they going to be George Kittle in training camp. But maybe that's gonna happen later on. But at the moment, the fact that you've got here's again another second round pick that at the moment we're potentially talking about maybe not being on the field for might even stay on PUP or whatever for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. So
yeah, Paul.
Sorry, repeat the question.
Just your biggest concern after 2 weeks of camp so far.
Any more? No more. I just don't want to see any more injuries.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
it's a good run. Yeah, no injuries. Yeah, I know we've lost 2 safeties like literally in the same day. So that would be helpful. Although Marcus Bell did look quite strong, and we've had some from A. Thomas as well. So those guys can step it up. But
McQuamu was at least back on the walkthrough yesterday as well,
true.
So that's suggesting he's not far off coming back. So
yeah. So that gives you extra cover again. That is true. Go on then, Jamie. After 2 weeks, what's been your biggest concern so far?
We touched on it before you come on, Mike. But regardless of how you want to spin it, if he's been stubborn, or if it's the Cowboys has been stubborn, but the fact that Zach Mine's in camp is the best guard in the. He should be there, regardless of how you want to sugarcoat it or pin the blame of it. And until he's in camp, that's going to be the biggest concern.
Finish him.
That is true. Yeah. Yes. So there we go, guys. Another week of camp wrapped up. It is Hall of Fame game. So that is this week, tonight, this evening, wherever you are, mind you. Might be tomorrow or the day after, whatever. So yes, we get to enjoy a little bit of football. It's an exhibition game, isn't it? You're not going to see the main guys out there. It's just a little bit of extra. It's like a practice, but with another team practicing with you at the same time. Go on, Lon.
I mean, I'm more interested, obviously, in the festivities later on in the week, where Chuck Howley finally is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and unfortunately, I mean, it's going to be his son that's having to give the speech because, unfortunately, dementia's taken over for Chuck
Yeah.
Howley, and but getting to see him and DeMarcus Ware going into the Hall, that's going to be great. So
Yeah.
Do you know,
mean,
just touched on the game with it being the Jets in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I suppose if you're struggling to sleep tonight, put that up, boy.
I mean, I you know me, I stay up. I stay up and watch these games, these late. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna kill myself. And like, plus me and Paul were up till 2:00 this morning as well.
yeah, and you can now watch it on your the Zone if you've had the money taken out of your account in the last couple of days. So
yeah, that's not fast, is it?
Yeah.
Yep. I wish the NFL UK or NFL International would just do away with the international Game Pass and take us back to NFL Plus or whatever.
Yeah. And what's funny is if you go to NFL UK, every other thread is a complaint about DAZN.
Yeah.
DAZN or whatever it is, whatever they're calling it. It's just it's mental. But there we go. That's the world we live in. So let's start getting this all wrapped up then, guys. Let me find this. Go on, Mr. Lawn. Hit me with it.
Right. Okay. So obviously we're getting close to the real football. So if you're talking about going to a game, make sure you book through Cowboys Experience for the ultimate meet and greet, stadium tours, game tickets, tailgating. Obviously, they're great sponsors of us, and obviously they've helped us with our game day package for Thanksgiving. Get to meet stars like Micah Parsons, Jay Novacek, Zach Martin when he's in camp. You know, and lots of the old timers as well, guys that I've had the pleasure of seeing as well. So make sure you use them, and if you book through them, make sure you tell them that we sent you. Use the code UK Cowboys, and you'll get some free stuff.
Yeah, boy. Go on, Mr. Paul.
Yeah, guys, be sure to follow our fellow content creators from the official Dallas Cowboys channels. Good to hear Lisa hanging with the boys. Our good friend Sharon Dross is now back in the studio.
That's right.
And SB Nation, where you can follow Mike's articles and follow me and Meg on the World's team. Like J Tuck there, you've got Cowboys Can fan, our friends from Canada. Yeah, you've got Jeff Reinbold there from Sky Sports. So be sure to check all those guys out.
Yeah. All right. And Mr. Jamie, finish us off and we can get out of here.
Yeah. As it says there, the power package for UK Cowboys fans is officially today 109 days away. I think we are having a trip to watch the Cowboys at Thanksgiving. And I think off the top of it, is it Mike right about 15 to 20 everything total going out. So if you want to jump on, or even if you want to do some of the pre-game stuff or anything, check up with us on our socials, or even hit up Cowboys Experience and you can get all the info. And Mike been plugging away and Paul has been getting everything done. So watch this space for the itinerary of what's going to happen. I think between all the group, I think we're all out there at least Tuesday to the weekend. A lot going on, so sure you hit us up, or even if you're out there in the States, hit us up.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it, and there's going to be a lot of stuff coming along with that, so keep an eye out. But that is it for this week. We will be back next week, this time, as always, 9 o'clock on Thursday. We'll do another review as we get closer to the first preseason game, so exciting times. As we do, though, stay safe, and these guys all get the last word, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Go, take it away, guys.
Dallas fella for never. Let's go.
Yeah, have a great week, guys, and I'll catch you next weekend.
Stay safe, enjoy the rest of the week, and go Cowboys.